What's going on, friends? Hope you're doing amazing. It's your captain of the candlestick, Mr. Jeremy Alexander Newsom. That is me, speaking in third person, which is really dumb to do. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. In this video, we're simply discussing and looking back at a previous trade that a trader did and talk about it, learn from it, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the pros, and the cons. Take that information and apply it for future trades. Let's dive in together. You rock. Hey traders from around the world, it's Jeremy Alexander Newsom with your Friday trade review. And the markets are just straight up screaming, looking beautiful, gorgeous gaps. This week has been astronomically, sensationally serendipitous. So many people making gobs of money. Oh man, today was amazing. Amazing! Amazing. Many people are up almost 10 Rs for the month of June already. My goal is 30, sitting at 8.5 for the month of June. Man, oh man. I know today is a trade review day, so I'm not going to talk too much about what we did, but this was the official trade that my boy Blake Anderson gave us in the morning room today. Alibaba, bullish gap and go, perfect gap, right above the high of that high wave candle, off to the races she went. And you couldn't have had an easier entry, I don't think. I mean, look at that hammer candle. Perfect in every way possible. Gorgeous hammer, 3-minute chart. So we were just playing the entry above the high, stop a little bit below the low, $1 stop loss. Home run on Alibaba. So we played that one. Also played Baidu for a very small win. So we got out, exited this like pink line right here. So very, very small win on Baidu. Just did not move as well as the other ones. Apple was obviously perfectly incredible. This gap on Apple, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know how to play this gap on Apple, get at me. I mean, let's do some coaching or something. Look at this 3-minute candle. Perfect. 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 Shout outs to Sarah Quick down there in Port St. Lucie, Florida for just making some solid gains on Apple today. Great job, Sarah. Scott McKay also crushing it today, man. Well done. Today's about one specific trader, though. My good friend, Chief, a.k.a. the stock market wizard, a.k.a. the William Wallace of the workplace. We got to sell his PayPal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up to his chart, and we're just going to check it out and analyze this bad boy. So here it is, my good man, Chief, knocking it out for a solid gain. So here's the specific trade. So we're looking at PayPal. And he mentioned that the stock price was $10.83 on June the 4th. And on on June the 4th, he bought some July 5th 112 calls. So that means that the stock was at 108, and he bought some out of the money calls, and he bought those calls for $1.92. So his risk was $192 per contract. Don't know how many contracts he bought, but it's irrelevant. Doesn't really matter. But let's say his risk is $200. That means that he could have bought one contract and his stop could have been 0. Or he could have bought 4 contracts and his stop could have been $1 and some change. So $1 would have been $400 of risk. So stop would have been $1.50. It could really just depend. But this is where he gets in. And then he sold today when the stock was at 114.35. That means that the stock, the option went in the money, and he sold for $4.85, which was an incredible return, monumental move. And let's go look at the actual analysis. So first and foremost, you'll notice that he did not get in on July 3rd, right? So July 3rd was the really, really big sell-off. So that was this. You know, if we're looking at this particular trade, this chart, let me kind of just, I can zoom in even more. I didn't know that. Okay. So if I zoom out just a little bit more, I'll zoom in over here some. So if we're looking at this is the sell-off of the 3rd. And then you get this candle, it gaps up, right? Gaps up, retests, closes above that candle, it starts making higher highs and higher lows. And then just kind of trades sideways for a little bit. So Chief gets in bullish on that day, on this day. June the 4th. So if we hop in here to an hourly chart, let's just kind of do the analysis on this one. So here's the hourly, and this is what that chart looks like, very similar to the one that Chief is looking at. So we're going to look at both the extended hours and non-extended hours, but the most important thing is understanding this move right here. You have a hammer, candle, bang, bang. This candle is the strong one right there. The fact that we closed above the high of this bearish candle was a really, really big deal. And remember, my friends, on the daily chart, this was a buy the dip opportunity. Buy into weakness. How many people do you think shorted PayPal right here as it closed below that support? I'm not saying that that was specifically a terrible thing to do, but what I am saying is it's a very, very strong trend. And again, it could have rolled over, sure. It was big volume. But remember, Chief got in on the 4th. So on the 4th of June, once the candle kind of retested, once it came back, he was just simply buying the dip. He did not know if the trade was going to work. He had no clue, but the stock had bounced. It had rallied. It had come back to a level where it was already taking out some resistance, and then he just simply bought some calls. So this time frame, I think, is the 15-minute time frame. 15-minute chart is this one. So if we go into a 15-minute chart on PayPal, he was buying again, kind of just right at the end of the day. So buying around here, and his stop on that trade most likely was down here somewhere. And I like that trade a lot. I really do, because it got above the high of this candle, right? You had a really, really big sell-off, massive, massive move, tons of people shorting, boom, 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 tons of people shorting. And by the time that he bought, the stock had closed above these particular levels. So I mean, it was just a simply very easy buy low, sell high trade that he had his risk mitigated for. He did not know it was going to go higher. He bought it $1.92 for July 5th out of the money. So it was easier for him to control his risk that way. Wasn't super expensive. And obviously he had no clue it was going to work out. We never do. Any trade we get into, we don't know it's going to work. But the next day, it gapped up and continued in his favor. So what's important to understand is he did not get out the very next day. Right? He got in here, and when it gapped up, you have to realize that this is a retest gap. White candle gapping up. So white candle gapping up, it retested, and so he was probably thinking, okay, this thing could retest for a while before going higher. I got July 5th. Right? I got plenty of time. A lot of traders will exit that very first day. But if you get into a trade and it immediately starts working, right? Chief is getting into this trade on these days right here, this candle. The very next day, he's immediately up on the trade. So he's instantly profitable. Never really saw a flick of red. So he was holding that trade for a decent time period. Didn't immediately get out, which is important. And then the trade continues higher. You can see the moving averages catch up. The trend looks really good. Another day, white candle gapping up on the hourly, retesting, and again, it ends strong. There's no reversal signals. Volume looks fine. Nothing to really worry about. And then Chief got rewarded with a nice bullish move today. And the thing is, could he have held for more? Could PayPal go higher? Sure it could. But it made a brand new all-time high today. High of this candle was 114.66. High of today was 115.14. So when it made that new all-time high, Chief simply sold into strength. All new time high. This is where all the newbies are buying PayPal, by the way, right? Because this is when it's quote-unquote confirmed. And he's getting into the trade. Very strong bullish trend. And realistically, knowing how he trades, this trade was just purely based off of risk mitigation. He bought some out-of-the-money calls. He did not spend that much money on them. $2 per contract, let's just say. And however many contracts he bought, it doesn't matter. He was able to control his risk, knowing worst case, that goes to zero. Or it pulls back a little bit and maybe it goes down to $1, right? And he's down on that particular trade. He loses money. That's fine. We are going to lose money on certain trades. Chief, I can't say enough about that trade, man. A+, well done. Exit at 114.35 on PayPal is when you said that you exited. So what I would have done on this one, I mean, again, still an A+ trade, absolutely fantastic. Nothing bad about that trade at all. I think you could have held just for probably 20 more cents just for it to make that new all-time high. So instead of getting out at 114.35, could have just held for the new all-time high, 140, 140, 114.78, 114.80, 115, something like that. Because usually it's going to make a new all-time high, and that's when people are going to buy, and then they're going to, then this is where everyone's buying PayPal, and it's going to retest and buy the dip. Anyway, A+ trade, Chief, so wonderful. The big takeaway on that one, my friends, find a good trade, find a good stock that has some solid strength, find the very most bearish candle out there, and if it immediately starts recovering, like on Visa, look at this. One bearish candle, and then immediately the next day recovers. Super, super strong bullish trend. Get in. The trend is your friend. Incredible trade. Great risk mitigation. A+ Chief. And I'm very happy to say that my hero right here is just absolutely dominating it. Anyway, folks from around the world, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. 4.8 R's from my boy Chief. Just domination. Ladies and gentlemen, you rock. I hope this was helpful. I will see you on Monday for another free real life stock review. Make sure to get your stock requests in between now and Monday, whatever it is that you want me to look at. I'll be happy to do so. And I truly do hope you're just absolutely printing money out there. It has been an incredible week. Let's keep it up, June. You guys rock. Have a great weekend. Bye.